Also today, after months of protests, media coverage, and online conspiracy theories, the highly anticipated Karen Read murder trial is officially underway. More than 100 potential jurors were called to that courthouse today.
And the defense team scored a big strategic victory. Read is accused of killing her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, a Boston police officer, outside a home in Canton back in January of 2022. She arrived in court today, flanked by her legal team, cheered by supporters. Prosecutors say she hit O'Keefe with her SUV and left him to die in the snow. But her attorneys say she's being framed as part of a massive cover-up.
And we have team coverage for you tonight. But first, we want to begin with NBC 10's Eli Rosenberg. He's joining us live outside of the courthouse in Dedham with the very latest. Eli.
And Priscilla, talking with experts, they said just because of how much attention, how much focus this case has already received, picking a jury for this trial could take some time. And that is what we saw today. Some 90 potential jurors brought in early this morning. It was a day spent talking with them, asking them questions. And in the end, 4 jurors were seated. What started like this ended like this, as jury selection for Karen Read's trial got started inside a Dedham courtroom.
Before you begin your deliberations.
Before the process of picking a jury could get underway, the judge ruling Read's lawyers can, with restrictions, present a defense that centers around the idea there's no way Read could have killed John O'Keefe in January 2022 because someone else did. The judge did instruct Read's lawyers not to present this, though, in their opening arguments.
This is what I normally would call the SODI, which is some other dude did it. And that's kind of, they've laid the groundwork for that.
According to prosecutors, Read hit O'Keefe, at the time a Boston police officer, with her SUV and left him during a blizzard in January 2022. He was found hours later outside a Canton home. Her lawyers counter, saying Read is the victim of a massive cover-up, and O'Keefe was actually killed inside that Canton home.
The jurors selected for this trial will hear and judge the evidence.
Some 90 jurors brought into the court on Tuesday to be considered for the Read jury, and in the end, 4 were seated.
Bring it to the court's attention.
Mark Aragos, a high-profile attorney not affiliated with the Read case, says lawyers on both sides working hard to determine a potential juror's motives.
One of the greatest telltale signs if somebody is a stealth juror is if they want to serve on the jury. Because in my experience, having done this hundreds of times, very few people are eager to serve on a jury.
So as it stands right now, we have 4 jurors seated. We still need 8 more plus alternates. So everyone is going to be back here tomorrow to go through the same process with a new pool of jurors. And the judge did tell jurors today this trial is expected to last 6 to 8 weeks. Live in Dedham, Eli Rosenberg, NBC 10 Boston.
Okay, Eli, not far from where you are, we find NBC 10's Jericho Tran. Jericho, the protesters were told to keep back 200 feet. I imagine police were there to enforce that.
Well, protesters that were carrying signs were asked to stay about 200 feet, but other protesters who were actually trying to get inside to be a part or to see that jury selection, they were actually allowed to go a little further up towards the court. But once again, they were kept behind barriers. We did see a very heavy police presence here. Local police, we even had state police parked over here, and that's something that we can expect to see in the next couple weeks as well.
This is a murdered Boston police officer. It's murder.
A murder trial dividing families.
Family members have been ostracized.
And a town.
Everybody in Canton is suffering.
As threats.
Somebody was contacting my place of work a couple of times to try to get me in trouble for my comments on Facebook.
And questions about First Amendment rights.
It's like everything else that's happened in this country. They're picking away and picking away and picking away at our rights.
Circulate throughout the community as jury selection for the highly anticipated trial of Karen Read begins.
You ready to start, Jim?
It's important for us to be here, for me to be here anyways, because Karen Read could be any one of us.
Pink lined the sidewalk leading up to the Norfolk County Superior Court today in a show of support for Karen Reed.
Karen Reed picked the color.
Others assembled further down the block after a ruling from Judge Beverly Cannoni prohibited demonstrations within 200 feet of the courthouse.
I go like this, I'm under arrest.
Their presence, along with signs like this one along Route 1 in Foxborough, showing just how difficult it could be to find an unbiased jury. Judge Cannoni with this message for protesters.
People outside of this building have rights, and we know that they have voices. But this criminal trial will be decided by an independent jury.
And once that trial starts, it could last as long as 6 to 8 weeks. And supporters I spoke with today say that they are willing to wait outside for each day of that trial for as long as it takes. In Dedham, Jericho Tran, NBC 10 Boston.
Jericho Tran rounding out our team coverage. NBC 10 Boston and NECN will have continuing coverage of the Karen Reed trial. In addition to extended coverage tonight at 7, we'll carry all the testimony live on NECN, NBC10Boston.com, and on our streaming platforms. For trial analysis and a complete timeline of the case, check out our website.